Today's daily wisdom from Bhagavad Gita. So hope you're having a great start to your Wednesday morning or Tuesday evening. You had a wonderful day. Let's get started. We have a hard stop at 10, so we need to pace it accordingly. So I'm going to share my screen and we will get started with our topic. See, we've been talking about the topic of desire and anger, greed that emanate from it. And today we are going to talk about some of the friends. We've taken a verse from Bhagvatam that we can include in our life or take benefit from them to fight off, ward off, or neutralize this formidable enemy called desires. Right? Desires in itself are not bad as long as they are channelized, because our brain, our mind has two aspects to it: the lower nature and the higher nature. And spirituality is all about subduing our lower nature and transition towards our higher nature. So today we will look at some of the not additions, those things are already there, but we can befriend them for our advantage. And that is what we are going to discuss today. So let me share my screen and we will get underway. So Radhe Radhe and welcome again, everyone. Let me share my screen and we shall get started. Able to see my screen? Great. So we'll get started by invoking the blessings of God and Guru like we always do. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. All right, Radhe Radhe. So let's get started. It's the same shloka that we are going to do, and we are going to go a step further, looking at what is the remedy for the manifestation of lust in form of desire, and the three different ways through which it can manifest. The sattvic desires, the tamasic desires, and the rajasic desires. So we'll pick up the shloka. We'll probably pick up 3 hands today, and then get started. Who recited? You're welcome to follow along. Dhumena वह्निर् यथा दर्शो मलेन च यथोल्बेनावृतो गर्भः तथा तेनेदमावृतम्. Okay, we can pick up a few hands.
Radhe Radhe. Sandhya, please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Sandhya.
Dhumena vriyate vahanir yatha darsho malena cha yathol vrito garbha tatha tene damavritam.
Very nice. Thank you, Sandhya. Radhe Radhe.
Suryaprabhaji, Radhe Radhe.
SSPG, Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe, anything ji?
Radhe Radhe.
Dhumena vriyate vahni yadha darsho malena cha yathol bhenavruto garbha yatha tena taya vrutam.
All right, SSPG, thank you. Radhe Radhe.
Sorry.
Okay, we can take maybe 4 more hands. We can freeze
them. Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Dineshji.
Radhe Radhe. Yeah. Dume navriyate vahir yatha darso malena cha yatholve navruto garbhas tatha tene damavrutam. Radhe Radhe.
Nice. Radhe Radhe, Dineshji.
Rupa, Radhe Radhe. Please go ahead.
Radhe Radhe, Sandhya ji.
Radhe Radhe everyone. Dhume na priyate vahinar sorry. Dhumre na priyate vahnir yathadarsho malina cha yatolbena prito garbha tatha te nidam avritam.
Very nice, Rupaji. Good to see you after a while.
Yeah.
All right, we have two more hands. We can take
I
those.
have two hands but no camera on, so
No worries.
Riyaji, Radhe Radhe.
Riyaji is overdue with her camera turning on. So go ahead, Riyaji, please.
Radhe Radhe Nitinji and everyone.
Radhe Radhe.
Dhume navriyate bahanir yata darsho malena cha yato benavrito garbaha tata te nidamavritam.
Very nice. Thank you. Last but not the least, Udaji.
Udhay Kumar ji, Radhe Radhe.
राधे राधे धूम्नेर आव्रियते वह्निर एतादर्शो मलेन च एतोल्बेनावृतो गर्भस् तथा तेनेदम् आवृतम्. राधे राधे.
Wonderful. Very nice. I hope all of you are reciting at your place as well. It's very auspicious to recite Bhagavad Gita shlokas because they did not come from an ordinary mouth. It came from Lord Krishna's mouth. So it's very, very auspicious, very, very powerful, and very, very transformative if you recite it. So let's get started. This one, Lord Krishna is saying, just as a fire is covered by smoke, a mirror is masked by dust, and an embryo is concealed by the womb, similarly, one's knowledge gets shrouded by desire. So we did speak about this topic in detail yesterday, the three manifestations of desires based on whether we have sattvic propensities, rajasic propensities, or tamasic propensities. But how do we fight this enemy or neutralize this enemy or do something about it, right? We have all spoken about the problems. We have all reflected upon, what is it that is applicable to us based on the different analogies that we looked at. Now, the real question is, what do we do about them? What are the tools available at our disposal? Some of it, as you would see as we progress through that, because it will require probably one more session to cover through everything, you'll see some of it is given to us and some of it you make a choice. So both are there, and we will talk about each one of those. Okay. Some of it you just have, you are given that, and again you have chosen that because of the prarabdha, because prarabdha is our own doing. Okay, God is just picking up a drop and giving it to us, but there's a reason why we haven't gotten those prarabdha, and some of it we can actually make a conscious choice with proper knowledge and by exercising our free will. So let's get started with today's topic of our discussion. So this is what we are going to talk about. We're going to take inspiration from a Bhagavatam verse, which is going to tell us about 10 aspects, factors, or friends, which can help you neutralize this adversary known as desire. Okay. Let's understand desire in itself, if properly channelized, can actually become our asset when you desire for God. But when you are having lowly desires or mundane desires, worldly desires, material desires, those are binding. And those are actually taking us further into this material world and making us do more of binding karmas and downgrading our sanskars as well. Like I said, we have two natures, low nature and the higher nature. So the whole game of spirituality is about moving or subduing our lower nature and shining or bringing forth our higher nature. So when our desires are born out of our lower nature, they are binding, they are downgrading. And when our desires are born out of our higher nature, as we would see, they can actually uplift us. They'll take us not only to Sattvic, but beyond Sattvic as well, right? That is how this process goes. Now let's get into what the verse that I wanted to bring about. All right, so what we are going to talk about, why 10 friends? See, this is a flanking approach. Flanking is something where you attack it from all angles. Okay, in sports, that's a concept. In rugby, soccer, football, even in marketing, this is a strategy, flanking strategy, where you make an appeal to a customer through different angles, right? One angle could be it is going to make you feel happy, promise of happiness, like all the advertisements do. Then it could be an emotional appeal. Okay, they will attach some sentiment to it. Diamonds are forever and best anniversary gift and stuff like that. That is emotional appeal. Then they can give you a sense of belongingness that you have, if you are part of a group, you need to be drinking Pepsi. So flanking means something with, or they will make you feel FOMO, fear of missing out. If you don't have this, you're missing out of something big in life. It is called flanking approach, that something will click. Similarly, Bhagavatam gives us 10 things. It's a flanking approach. You get all the things, something will click, and then that can help you evolve spiritually. So let's talk about that now. So this is Shloka 10, Canto, 11th Canto, 13th chapter, and Shloka number 4 in Bhagavatam, which talks about Agamo paha praja desha kala karma cha janma cha dhyanam mantro tha samskaro dashaite guna hetava. What are these? These are the 10 things. Okay, what are these 10 things? Quality of religious scriptures, stuff that you read, water, one's association with one's children or people in general, place, time, activities, birth, meditation, chanting of mantras, purificatory rituals, mode of nature become differently. So the modes of nature, our gunas or our desires, would be dictated by these factors. We will analyze it one by one and see how it impacts our thought process, gunas, and even desires for that matter. Okay. And if we befriend it, and we can actually utilize each one of these to our advantage. On the contrary, if we are not wary of this, cautious about this, it can actually take us further into the material world and downgrade our sanskars as well. So let's get started. The first one is agama, which is called the type of books that we read. You see so many books in the library here. The kind of stuff you can lay your mind on. See, there are two kinds of food we eat. One is the food that we normally eat. It could be dal, roti, chawal, sambar, right, whatever. And second is the food we give through our mind. And books are a very important ingredient around it. The kind of content we put our mind to, or we take in through our gyanindriyas, which are chakshu, one of our important gyanindriyas, is a food for our mind, because now you're putting thought and contemplation upon it as well. So the books, the kind of books that we read, or the kind of philosophies or ideologies that we subscribe to, right, because of our reading, that has a huge bearing on our desires as well. How? Let's look at that. Now, we human beings, we have an inclination to enjoy tastes of different genres. That's why we have attraction towards action, horror, comedy, love, etc. Different people, they like to read different things, right? All the way from Hardy Boys to Mills and Boons to the fiction and stuff like that. Different people, they read different things based on their palate. But like anything else in this world, everything has a price tag. Okay, for everything you're making a choice, and that choice, there is a price you are paying for that as well. What is the price? Let's look at it now. We can read books related with lust, which can make us more lusty, more desires will come in. You can read fantasy or escapism stuff, which is a rajasic mode. People may give this argument, you know what, it's a good time pass. Okay, time is passing by, but if it is a rajasic mode or something you are doing it for fun and entertainment, then it will have a bearing on our thinking as well. So it could fall into the category of rajasic and tamasic. Ghost stories could be tamasic as well. We can read scriptures which are sattvic or gunatit for that matter. Key point is watch out for what we are reading, whether it is conducive for our spiritual growth or not. Because this has a huge, especially people who are voracious reader, the kind of content that we are reading has a huge bearing on our thought process. And there is another thing which our scriptures warn us against as well. Some people are voracious readers. They can lay their, they would go through reading anything and everything that they can lay their hands on, which is called in our scriptures as Shastra Vasana. Right? Their whole life is spent acquiring knowledge, more knowledge, more knowledge, theories, more theories, theories upon theories, their own theories, scriptural theories mixed with their own interpretations, and that journey continues. Scriptures tell us it is called Shastra Vasana. There is Dehvasana, there is Lokavasana, and then there is a Shastra Vasana. How much knowledge do we need for our spirituality, especially if you are on the path of bhakti? This much knowledge is needed, where you can attach your mind to God. The rest will happen all by itself. Right? When you pop in a pill of bhakti, the gyan, vairagya, and all the other virtues that you need will automatically follow. But if you keep on reading stuff, even if it's scriptures, right? Beyond a point, it becomes a vice. In fact, ironically, it is even called kusanga. Because if you have understood, just follow it, implement it, and move on. If you keep on focusing on books one after another and too many theories in your mind, so much of gymnastics, then it is not really helpful. And then worldly books, of course, if you are reading fiction, it could be rajasic or tamasic, right? And even otherwise. So that definitely has a bearing on it. So we got to be very selective and careful about it. Yes, Monica ji, you had a question?
Monica ji, Radhe Radhe. Yeah.
Radhe Radhe, Radhe Radhe Nidhi ji. Nidhi ji, what is Lokvasana?
Okay, yeah. So good you've asked that. So first Vasana is Shastra Vasana, which I've already explained, where you keep on reading and intellectualizing. The second one is called Lok Vasana. Lok Vasana is where we are worried about the world or talking about the world, gossiping about the world, what is happening in Middle East. Oh my God, politicians these days are bad. What is going on with Indian cricket team these days? Lok Vasana means our interest is Lokaranjan only in our mind, which is called Lok Vasana. How does it matter for our spiritual journey, right? If we are preparing for IS, okay, it makes sense for us to look at news channels once in a while to know what is going on, key things that is happening, and make notes and present our opinion around it, right? Because administrative services require you to have a viewpoint about the worldly affairs and your national affairs and stuff like that. But if you are simply watching TV the whole day, what's the point? It is called Lokvasana, right? Where our mind gets some kind of a mellow or a rus from talking or thinking about worldly affairs. Oh, what happened to that neighbor's daughter? What happened? Did you hear about her? What happened? She has started going to satsang. Oh, what a boring news. I thought she ran away with somebody. We are always looking for scoops around, which is called Lokvasana, right? People like gossiping, thinking about the worldly affairs. That is called Lokvasana. Third one is called Dehavasana, where we are obsessed, very obsessed with how we look, how we are perceived. So rather than becoming good, our focus is on looking good. So that is called Dehvasana, where we are excessively obsessed about our image, projection, prestige, and all that stuff. So these three vasanas are Shastra say we need to watch out for. They're not conducive for a spiritual journey. All right, so the first one, I started with books, hope it makes sense. I used to read a lot of novels, not anymore, which is a good thing because I don't have time, but I have spent a lot of time reading fiction and whatnot, Ayn Rand and Hardy Boys and detective novels, too many things, Champak Nandan and all that, Chacha Chaudhary and whatnot. Okay, not anymore though. So this is called the first one, the kind of books that you are reading. It's very important to do that. See, the biggest trap that happens is on this path is intellectual entertainment. We derive a lot of kick out of certain theories that we propound, our own theories and stuff like that, which is fine, I mean, to begin with, but beyond a point we need to settle down. Once we come in contact with the guru, let's try to align what the higher principles are, and then let those arguments settle down. Because if we keep on intellectualizing it, we are losing out on precious time. Like Swamiji beautifully says that for us to kill ourselves, we just need a pin. But if you have to kill somebody else, we need a sword. Similarly, when it comes for our own spiritual growth, a little bit of knowledge is good enough. Okay, you understood what needs to be done. Attach your mind to God. That's good enough. Okay, a little bit more knowledge, maybe just to clarify your doubts, because those doubts can really derail our journey. But for us to progress, too much is not needed actually. But it's important to get the theory sorted out once and for all, especially when we come in contact with a saint or a realized person, and then proceed confidently on this path. But if we are intellectualizing it for the rest of our life, then it's a lot of time that we are frittering away. So that is the key. The next one is apa, pani, water, the kind of drinks we have. Right? It is said, Jaisa an vaisa man, Jaisa pani vaisi vani. So if you choose those drinks that have alcohol in them, they are tamasic in nature. And then what happens, we know, right? First of all, people start speaking English. Then they develop a lot of guts. They can fight a tiger also. And the bike is the first thing they want to drive. Okay, so those kind of things can happen. And most of the accidents that happen on the road is because of those late night parties only. Okay. Or the cold drinks, which are rajasic. So Dil Mange More is actually rajasic, because it's free calories that and about 9 to 10 teaspoons of sugar that you are giving to your body. Absolutely nothing to do with helping out on the spiritual side. It is going to fuel your passion more. So when you have rajasic drinks, it just fuels our passion. Sugar rush, we know, but otherwise it doesn't quench your thirst as such. Next one is fresh juice and water, which are sattvic in nature. So basically the point here being, when you treat yourself to kind of drink, it has a bearing on your desires also. Right? If you think so many crimes and other things are committed when people are inebriated, intoxicated, that's because your desires are directly controlled by the kind of water you consume. And a lot of the tamasic desires, they are fulfilled when you're having tamasic drinks. Rajasic desires, when you are in a mode of passion because of that. And sattvic, of course, will have a sattvic effect on your psyche as well as on your desire as well. That is why in exam, when they say, a glass of water always helps, because it's not going to take your thought process completely tangential, especially when you are under stress. So got to be careful about what we eat, who has prepared that, who's serving that. All these have a bearing on our consciousness. Okay, so these are the factors. We can actually befriend them by choosing it ourselves. So even the food, it is said, in the consciousness which it is prepared, has a bearing on it. I mean, they are not very impactful, but they do have a bearing on it in our lives. If you keep on eating food from somebody who has a lot of what you call that sinful tendencies, your consciousness can start changing as well. And that is why it is said, when you have a lot of people, their spiritual journey starts because they have a lure for food, myself included. When you go to temple, if you simply keep eating that as a prasad, it will start transforming your consciousness as well. That is how powerful it is. And that is why the taste that you get from your mom made cook or homemade cook food, mom made food, the taste is totally different, because the consciousness in which it is prepared is different. That restaurant cannot match it. So the consciousness also has a bearing on what you consume, what you end up, the kind of desires you end up acquiring. So the bottom line is, sattvic mode, we need to avoid rajasic and tamasic drinks and food, and that would enable or help it will make the environment more conducive for a spiritual growth. That is why I see with this discussion, it's like can out of worms when we talk about veg and non-veg. Fine, I mean, that is fine. It's such a matter of choice. All it is saying is not good or bad. All it is saying is this one is conducive for your spiritual journey, the other one is not. And you can just try it out and see them, how your consciousness operates when you especially resort to certain foods which are, our scriptures tell us, are not conducive for your spiritual journey. Especially if you sit in dhyan, or if you have a way of knowing how your thought process is going, especially if you're trying to cultivate witness consciousness, you will see that it's more agitated when you have these kind of foods as opposed to when you're having a sattvic diet. Now, as an experiment, if one eats too much oily food for a week, Not only it's bad for physical health, it's bad for spiritual, I mean, health as well. Those who do sadhana in the morning, they won't be able to get up. Person will remain agitated whole day. And so we can see that actually your proof is in the pudding. So we know when we have this kind of a food, what kind of effect it has on our consciousness. So this is the second one. The third one is praja. Praja is the type of company we keep. Very, very important. Super important. Okay, now I can go and talk about it forever, because this basically talks about the satsang part of it, right? A man is known by the company he keeps. There is a saying, tell me who are your friends and I'll tell you who you are. It's very simple. The kind of company you will keep will reflect on your personality. And it is also said in English, there's a saying that we become the sum average of 5 people we hang around with. So choose those 5 people wisely. We become the sum average of that. You'll start talking the same language, same things, and you'll, after a while, you'll have common worries also, okay, depending upon the kind of people you are hanging around with. That is how powerful the association is, or the more so the the reason for us to be associated with satsang more than kusang, because it will have a direct bearing on your psyche. If you roam around with people who are talking about stocks all the time, oh, you'll be worried. Okay, man, I'm losing out on something. And people have gone bankrupt with these kind of companies as well. If you're roaming around with people who only want to talk about material things, your consciousness, thought process would also get bent. And if you are surrounded with satsangis, they'll pull you back. They'll not let you go astray, right? So this is the power of satsang. And it's always better to go with people whom you think are, ahead of you in this journey, because end of the day, you'll become the sum average of that. So you will be forced to raise your level. And before you realize, you would have started improving as well. And if we keep company of spiritual people, we automatically start developing their spiritual qualities. And on the other hand, if we have company of materialistic people with aggressive ambitions in life, devoid of morals, we unknowingly start developing materialistic, immoral qualities. This is automatic. Very powerful thing. And that is the first impression that kids, have to deal with in this world. When they go out of the comforts of their home, they start going to school, they start coming in company. If their language, behavior, temperament starts changing, the first thing you need to check is their company. That is how powerful company is. And for our adults as well, it works the same way. So if you want to progress in Sattvagun, we need to keep an eye on what company we are keeping. Who are we associating with on a day-to-day basis? Very, very powerful. This is like the defining thing, because most of our time goes in the company, worldly association, people whom we hang around with, sevas who we are doing with. Even if we are in the seva world, of course, we have to deal with all kind of personalities. But we got to be very careful about what are we being fed, because that will have a bearing on our consciousness and our desires also, right? That is how powerful the company is. The next one is Desha. Desha, now it's getting interesting. The place we live in, it has a big impact on us as well, okay? Now, to some extent, we can choose it. So to some extent, a lot of factors dictate it, but let's see what it means. We may live in any country or city, but environment we live in has a great influence in encouraging a particular mode. We may live very near to temple. We may see very devotees entering and leaving. This affects our consciousness to be in a mode of goodness. So you live near a temple, and then if you live near a casino, you'll see the difference, okay? How our mode gets impacted. You go to a casino and you see the consciousness changing. That is how the vibes are. It has a huge bearing on our desires also, day-to-day desire, consciousness, and our gunas as well. It's very important, not just limited to the proximity of the place where you are living in, but also where you are living as well. It does have a bearing. So one may live near pubs and see people drunk falling over here and there. It will have an impact on our consciousness, and then every Friday we'll be itching to go there as well, right? Similarly, the home that we live in. So if we are keeping it all dirty and messy with rotten food and other stuff lying around, it also has an impact on our desires and consciousness as well. It may promote laziness, slothness, those kind of feelings. It is directly related with your surroundings here. And there's a feng shui or vastu science. It states the cleaner surrounding we live in, the more positive energy we have in us, the more happy and calm we feel inside. So these are enablers, they are not deal breakers. See, if you're on the path of devotion, these factors will automatically be taken care of. You'll automatically start aligning to that. They're not deal breakers for your spiritual journey. So if you're living near a pub, don't think that, oh my God, now my spiritual journey I cannot do anything. These are some of the factors, more like a supplements. If you're on the path of devotion, especially when you start progressing on this path, it makes you situation surrounding agnostic. Okay, it does not matter. Even if you are born in Vegas, you will be like that droplet on a lotus petal. Okay, so that stage you can reach, not a big deal. But these are some of the factors that can have a bearing on people. So if you are wary of that, it always helps to know that. But I won't treat it as a deal breaker now. If somebody's house is near, one of such areas, that doesn't mean they can't do devotion. All I'm trying to say is that if we are not mindful, because more often than not, we are in an autopilot mode, these kind of things can have a bearing as well on our consciousness. That's why if you go to some place where people are drunk and they are partying, it has a bearing on your consciousness. On the other hand, when you sit in a temple or a gurdwara, or you go to a place which is oozing divinity, you see the calmness will start prevailing in your mind. That is the impact of the location, and that is what Bhagavatam is calling out as a desh as well. So the next one is okay, we had somebody crying here. So fifth one is the kala, the way we spend our time during the day. This is a very important one. We all have 24 hours in a day, and we don't know where it goes. Okay, it just goes on by itself. And it is said that if you don't put a vessel to the time, water, or money, it will find its own ways. And this is the most essential or the most precious gift that has been given to us by God to all of us in equal quantity, at least for a day, right? The rest of it is, of course, dictated by our prarabdha, how long we are going to live on this earth. But then we all start with 24 hours in a day, and people who are effective in their life, they make so much out of that same time that other people, they complain for time. I don't have time, right? How does it happen? It's all that they understand the value of time and they are able to put it to good use. So they have put a vessel to that time. And that is why Bhagavatam is saying, respect time, because the way we are putting our spend our time during the day is also going to dictate your consciousness as well. It's like one part of it is utilizing your time, of course, and the second is some of the habits that we have cultivated around it. The habit of being nocturnals, that doesn't help. If you're getting up late, we know how the day goes by. And tamasic activities, we know they mostly happen in the night. Have you seen anybody doing a daylight robbery? Very few people would attempt that. So mode of ignorance, it becomes stronger during the night. And activities like yoga, exercise, typically they are associated with at morning, right? Some people might do it in the night. I mean, I'm one of those, but typically they are done in the mornings. And the quality of mode of goodness is stronger, especially during the early hours of morning. That is couple of hours before sunrise, Brahma Muhurat, when we talk about, right? All the intoxication and stuff happens in the evening. At least I haven't come across somebody who's motivated enough to drink in Brahma Muhurat. Okay, they'll do it late in the night, but Brahma Muhurat, the mode of goodness is predominant, and that is how it goes. So basically it says put your time to good use, make use of the sattvic time, the goodness basically which prevails during the early hours, and if you regulate or align around it, you can actually make the most out of your day as well. And early to bed, early to rise anyway makes Jack healthy, happy, and wise. The key point here being, I'll talk about this topic in more detail maybe when we get into the three modes. There are different durations of the day in which the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance, they are dominant. Early morning mode of goodness is predominant, so it's important to encash on it. Very few people encash on it, but people who do, they get a head start in their day as well as in their life. And then mode of passion, of course, is predominant during the day, which is our working hours. where we can be most productive, and mode of ignorance starts getting dominated, after the sunset, where people feel like drinking and other things, they start coming to their mind. So if you're mindful of that, we can regulate our day around that, as well as put our time to good use, because when we are putting our time to good use, putting a vessel to it, automatically we will indulge in activities which are helpful for our spiritual progress. So with time, there are 5 more to go. So before I get into the next one, because we spoke about putting our time to good use, this is a good segue to talk a little bit about our Seva teams and how they are doing. Sandhya, are you ready with that? We can talk about that. And I wanted to talk a little bit about Seva. If Shri Ramya, you're around, I'll give you that opportunity. But after Sandhya shares how our teams are doing, and hopefully you are able to catch up the videos that I'm releasing on the amazing presentations that our Ananya and Vinamra team did. And then the enthusiastic team and selfless team videos will be released shortly as well. So over to you, Sandhya, to talk about how our teams are faring, and then I'll talk a little bit about the new Seva that we are going to introduce.
Yeah, Radhe Radhe. I think Shiramya ji have also raised hand. I don't know if she wants to say
Yes,
something.
Shri
And I need to be made co-host in order to share the screen.
Yeah,
I don't know
please,
anything
once
to
again.
say. I just raise my hand so that it will be easy to unmute me later.
Okay,
Awesome.
no worries. Are you made
Just
co-host
now.
already, Sandhya?
Yes, just now. I was.
In the meantime, Surendraji is saying he has a comment for you. Thanks, Nitin Prabhu, for letting us his Satvic company for 60 minutes for the day. And he also says CICE has been instrumental in letting us spend some time every day in spiritual learning. Thank you, JK Yog.
Thank you, Surendra Prabhu. And thank you for your kind words and being so regular in all these sessions. And it's a beautiful satsang, I agree. Swamiji has enabled this platform for us. He's put a vessel to our time. I don't know where my time was going, to be honest. But now for most part of it, it is utilized just because of this seva. Otherwise, time will keep on finding its ways. So I'm really grateful to him. I mean, you can't express that gratitude or pay back that, but it's only because of that we are having this satsang and this amazing seva that we all have the opportunity to do and this satsang on a day-to-day basis. Yes, Sandhya, over to you.
You can see the sheet, right?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so yeah, for those who may not know, we have 4 Seva teams, selfless, enthusiastic, Vinamra and Ananya. Some of the team leads actually, yeah, all the team leads are here today, and 3 of them have their videos on. Yeah, and basically as part of this, we do Seva where, there are different like activities which are mentioned here. And there are scores for it. So today, after quite some time, we will again look at the scoreboard and see how they're all doing. So this is the scoreboard.
What's going on with Ananya team here? Somebody has really gone ballistic in Ananya team. Who's that?
That's Anita ji.
Oh my God.
You see this? This is what has made a whole lot of
Anita ji, what are you doing? You're doing, I think, eating, sleeping, drinking, all the points at this point.
She's sharing the information about classes and the content of our, I think, Instagram pages
Okay, oh, that's good.
at a very
Frantic.
fast spreading rate. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah. So cheers to all the 4 teams. I mean, they have all crossed 2,000 points already, which is such a big thing. So, and it's not like they were all getting 5 points per thing. They were getting just 1 or 2 points, and then crossing 200 points is commendable. So 2000, sorry, is commendable. So awesome.
So I want to call out one more thing. These 4 teams, they are like, they're pretty amazing. Recently, we had a seva to scout through, for some content in Swamiji's videos. And these teams, all of them, the participants, they were so motivated. They did about 200 videos in about a week. Okay, so which was pretty phenomenal. So just think of amount of Tattva Gyan they got by going through those videos and the level of motivation that they have. So cheers to the team for doing this commendable seva and showing the motivation all along. I feel so inspired looking at some of you and all these teams. It's like amazing work you guys do. And cheers to all the leaders and all the participants in these teams. And I would encourage all of you to join one of these teams and partake the nectar of bliss of seva. Okay, you just get into it and enjoy that. It's a great way to put a vessel that we spoke about, Carl. That is where we had a segue to put a vessel to your time during the day, whatever that little thing you can do. And it is said, right, the skills that God has given us, his gift to us, and what we do with those skills and offer it back to him is our gift back to him. So whatever skills you can bring in, it could be your time, it could be your writing, it could be your technical skill, it could be your time with regards to sharing this message with somebody, or simply going out, liking, sharing, commenting, whatever little way you can get engaged. Do jump into this bandwagon of seva teams that we have. Yes, Sandhya, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I mean, thank you so much. You brought up that video review part, because that is really, that was great that everybody was like, we were on a mission together, and the kind of the power of association I also felt during that time, that, we are ready to do whatever it takes, right? It was amazing. So, again, yeah, commendable job by everybody. And if anybody who's not part of Seva team and wants to become a part of it, please put your name in the feedback tracker, express your desire to be a part of the Seva team over there, and then Nitinji can take it forward.
Yeah, Sandhya will do the rest, okay? So yeah, just put in your name, all you need to express. And I'll take this opportunity to also announce that we are looking at, going through Swamiji's videos and making an inventory of all the beautiful stories, analogies that he provides. So that is the next seva we are going to do with all the seva teams. And for you personally, it will be a great way to assimilate those key nuggets that Swamiji presents while you watch his videos. So if you're up for the seva, let us know. And that's the next activity we are all going to embark upon. And like always, we will gamify it and our teams will jump onto it. Okay, so it's going to be beautiful seva. Don't miss out on this opportunity.
Some of
Yes,
the teams have already started doing it. We have something getting built. This will be like an amazing resource that we will have written. So yeah.
That's wonderful to know. So I'll reiterate it. Yes, Sri Ramya, go ahead. You wanted to show something. So Sri Ramya is going to show us something from Bhagavatam to reiterate the point on how I seva is important. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about a few more things. Maybe bring out the sixth element of seva, the friend from Bhagavatam as well, time permitting. Yes, Sri Ramya.
I need share screen access.
You need share screen access. Okay. I think sharing is caring, so we'll give it to you.
Okay, thank you. Let me know once my screen is visible.
Yes, it's coming up. Dhundukari and Gokarna.
Yeah, I hope all of you remember this story that we did. Since there was no time, I couldn't complete it. So I just wanted to do justice to the last few slides. So we saw who Dhundukari is, we saw who Gokarna is, and we saw what happened with their family. And we saw all the atrocities Dhundukari did, and the way he was murdered. And then we saw how Gokarna, being very merciful to Dhundukari, he decided to liberate his brother, and he consulted all the sages. So the sages would have told him that giving a Bhagavatam discourse to Dhundukari would help. So Gokarna would have read Bhagavatam, and when he starts reading, many saints from the nearby villages, everybody would have come. They would be hearing to the Bhagavatam lecture. And what happens is, after the 7 days of listening to Bhagavatam, so there would have been a spiritual plane in which the Haridut would have come, and they would have Dundukari, and they would take Dundukari with him. So Dundukari would have got liberated. He attains a very beautiful Vaishnava form, and he's liberated from the Kriyat form. In fact, not just Mukti, he gets that association of God. So at this point of time, Gokarna will have a doubt. It says that, there are many saints who came here. It was not just Dundukari, all the saints who have such holy jobs done, all of them have came. So they says that all those who assembled have listened in an equal measure. How then has the disparity come about in matter of reward? He would say, why only Dundukari is liberated? Why not the saints? Why not all of us? Why are you taking only Dundukari to Golok? Please explain. So this is what Gokarna requests to the Vishnudev. And this is what they tell him. Shravanasya vibhedena pala bedostra samstitaha shravanam tu krutam sarverna tata mananam kritam pala bedastato jato bhajanadapi manada. So they are basically telling that the disparity has come. It's not because it's because of how much each one has expounded on this, or how much each one has reflected upon it. He said not everybody has reflected upon an equal degree, and that is why the disparity is there. So although the one thing common is everybody with devotion you heard to the Lord, you heard the stories of the Lord, but not everybody has reflected equally on this. So this is the answer given by the Doots. And this is the next statement they make. So they say that infructuous is spiritual wisdom which is not firmly rooted. Hearing of scriptures is marked through listlessness. Counsel which is received with a doubting mind is lost. And fruitless is the muttering of a sacred text done with a restless mind. So he says that it's not about how much spiritual wisdom we seek, but how much it gets firmly rooted within us. So all of us, we are having one thing in common. We are coming here and listening to daily wisdom from Bhagavad Gita classes every day. But if we are not reflecting it in enough, or if we are not having this firmly rooted, then the results could be different. I think at the end of the day, we can't ask Nitinji that some of you, Nitinji, you and some of you have attended Golok, but I did not attend Golok, then and Nitinji can quote the shloka. So he would also tell that all of you, he would recommend Gokarna to do this Bhagavatam hearing again, and he said that next time you guys could reflect it even well, and the Doots will tell that I'm sure Krishna himself would come and he will take you in the spiritual plane. So after a few months, or after a few months, Gokarna would have this Bhagavatam reading again and again. Many of the saints would have come, and this time Krishna himself will come, and he would have taken Gokarna along with him. And Krishna's mercy, so that when he comes to that city near Tungabhadra, it was not just Gokarna. Every single living entity in the city, Krishna takes them along with him, including the animals. So this is the mercy that Krishna has, and this is the mercy of Gokarna, that if you just do something good, it not just affects you, it may affect even the ones around you. So the moral being that we need to have this knowledge firmly rooted within us. And so the next big question is, what should we do to reflect better on what we hear? So how, what exactly can we do so that we reflect on Swamiji's message better, and we have it rooted in our mind better? So what should we do? So this is the big question that we have. And to answer this big question, I would hand it over to Sandhya-ji and Nitinji. So this is it from my end. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Shri Ramya. I think that was very reflective, and the key, I think you really just summarized the gist of this whole thing, that the knowledge, the reflection and the intensity that we bring to it would translate to how much import we can get out of it, right? And bridging the gap between theory and the practical aspect of it, because that is the biggest divide we have, knowing and doing part of it. And I think you posed a very good question. How do we take it to the next level? And that is where I think it's an exercise for each one of us to reflect upon, because this is the process, right? The 3-step process we spoke about. We first hear, and then we contemplate upon it. And contemplation is important. Contemplation is not like, all right, we heard and it was pleasing to ears, wow, and done deal. No, we have to really think about it, like Newton thought about the falling apple. And he said, the apple falling is not a regular thing. There is some law which is dictating that. Previously, people used to think it's not gravity, earth sucks. Okay, I used to feel that as well, by the way, when I was in college. But it is actually gravity. And Newton, just by the power of his contemplation, could get that law. So that is contemplation. And that contemplation is basically rumination, like the cow does through sick stomach. And that would lead to the third step that Sri Ramya posed a question. How do we bring in about the practicality aspect of it? Once we have contemplated enough on it, the third step will automatically follow. That is where our intellect says, yes, this is the thing to be done. And then you just subscribe to it, your actions will follow. So any concept that we pick up, that we attach to, whether it's with regards to working on anger, whether it's regard to increasing our surrender, faith, love in God, whether it's with regards to being humble or intensifying our desire for seva, we need to systematically work on it and measure it as well. Are we increasing in that or not? So that is the key, I guess, here, where we can bridge the gap between theory and the practical, where our intellect is convinced and your actions will automatically follow. See, where our intellect is convinced, our body, mind, everything starts cooperating. Wake up on a Monday morning, we are able to focus for those 3 hours during the exam, and we are able to put up our best behavior in front of our bosses and people who matter to us. It just happens automatically. Why? Because our intellect is convinced. So that is the key. Anything else you wanted to add, Sri Ramya, on this? Well, thank you so much for bringing that. And Bhagavatam, we know, right? Bhagavatam is the ripened fruit of our scripture. So anything that comes from Bhagavatam, we really have to listen to it attentively. It is like conversing with Krishna, similar to what we do in Bhagavad Gita. And Sri Ramya, thank you for bringing that beautiful story and learnings from Bhagavatam. And in fact, you should do it periodically. The key nuggets that you can get, share it with us and give us the food for thought around that as well. Yes, Sandhya and Rahul, I think you had some question or something to add.
In the meantime, there's a good news that Swamiji is back in Dallas. So this Sunday, we have satsang with Swamiji in person. People in around Dallas, please come forward and have this beautiful, blissful nectar with Swamiji. The time, I guess, is 10 o'clock in the morning. So please come and join this Sunday at Dallas. Ismail, over to you.
And we do have some announcements related to the Earth Day cleaning that we are doing. So we will have different teams. You can report in at 8 o'clock. You will be tagged to a particular team, and then we will carry out some cleanup activity. Swamiji will be there as well. And then sustainability event is going to take place after that. So if you're in around Dallas, please wear your sun hats and come over at 8 a.m. We will contribute towards cleaning up the earth, okay, in our own limited way that day.
Okay, man. Thank you so much. I'll post the links in a while. Rahul bhai, over to you. Radhe Radhe.
Sandhya ji wanted to add something, maybe.
Okay, Sandhya, please go ahead.
So actually following up on what Sri Ramya ji said and what Nitin ji said, Sri Ramya ji have created an Excel sheet for this story extraction part. So I can quickly share it.
Sure.
So I guess you can have a look at it. Yeah, so basically we all, I think many of us who are not part of these teams also must be watching Swamiji's videos once in a while, right? So the only change in our attitude would be to start noting down the things that we are hearing, so that we can start making a database and make use of it and help spread it further among others as well. So that's where this writing the stories, whatever we hear from Swamiji in this sort of a documented format will help us. That's what the Seva teams have started. And yeah, that's it, I guess.
Thank you, Sandhya, for that. So this is a beautiful seva. All you have to do is watch videos and extract, distill information out of it. And I call it as Tattva Gyan Manthan. Like there was one Samudra Manthan happened, and this is a Tattva Gyan Manthan that we would do. And what will come out of that Manthan, you will be the biggest beneficiary out of it. And how it will help is when you extract those nuggets, of course, you would have contemplated upon it. And trust me, few videos can change your life. You never know which nugget you will pick up that will completely transform the way you are thinking, or may even address some of the obstacles in your mind at that point. And the biggest advantage, once you extract that information, we have a very creative team who know how to give a practical shape to those stories, right, in a very creative way, and send it up to thousands of people in form of reels, stories, and all the good content that you see around. So it is, win-win situation all around. So please do sign up for the Seva. Like I said, our Seva teams, they did 200 videos over a week, which is so phenomenal. Amazing Seva they did for, Swamiji's videos. And collectively, we can do amazing work. Swamiji has given so much of information. It's all scattered in pockets and pieces here and there related to the same concept. And nobody has attempted it. So you will be one of the first who can team up and help put it all together. And what will come out of it is going to be phenomenal. So strongly encourage you to sign up for that. Attendance tracker is there. I think if you have not put it already, please do that. We already have the teams, and let's get started on this wonderful Seva is all I would say at this point. Anything else you wanted to add, Rahul or Sandhya?
Just one more thing, I just noticed this is very nice. Like Shri Ramya ji have like put these drop downs where people can simply choose their name, their team, and whether they are putting a story, shairi or
Outstanding.
shloka. So this
Outstanding work,
makes
Shri
like even, putting content here is very straightforward and categorization is wonderful. So wonderful job, Shri Ramya ji.
Shri
And I
Ramya,
guess everybody is excited enough. Yeah.
outstanding job, Shri Ramya. Good job. I would like, since we have a couple of minutes, Monica ji, if you don't mind, you would have to share your experience of video Seva. Tell how did you find it beneficial, and you can give some inspiring nugget to the rest of the participants as well, because you were in an overdrive mode in doing those videos. So can you please share your experience in a couple of minutes before the next session?
Absolutely. Radhe Radhe, everybody. Nitinji, you read my mind when you were talking about this. I was thinking that how can I actually tell people that so this Seva just came, right? We were supposed to go through some videos, and then the kind of tattva gyan it gave us, because if this Seva hadn't come to us by itself, maybe I was thinking that probably, someday, maybe this weekend or something, I'll start, looking at videos and learn more about our culture and everything. But then when this video came across, I started listening to one, and then the series, and then I actually did video for others also. मैंने बाकियों के भी video कर दिए, but मैंने लिखा नहीं वहाँ पे because it was so much that initially my brain even couldn't digest कि अच्छा ऐसे भी होता है. Oh, and then I connected dots from that Bhagavad Gita class, and then something that Swamiji spoke almost a year ago that made sense to me now because I could connect dots with other things. So it was just amazing. I mean, which is why I kept requesting Sandhya ki aur videos de do, and I started doing others videos also and I didn't tell them because I want them to go through those videos, because I know that this is going to add much more to what we already are learning from Bhagavad Gita classes.
Thumbs up to that, and thank you for sharing that. And like I said, you jump into the Seva and see, how it starts giving you the benefit and the bliss that Monica ji, as you can see, so palpable, right? After doing this Seva, she was like, okay, give me more videos. Okay, we ran out of videos, but she did not run out of energy. That is how it was. So wonderful. I look forward to your sign up in the attendance tracker, and I look forward to continuing our discussion on the remaining 5 aspects which dictate our gunas and desires. We will conclude this discussion tomorrow. So Radhe Radhe, have a good day and a wonderful rest of your evening from my side. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
We have 1 minute, so 15 seconds, Tanmeji, if you wanted to add something.
Tanmeji?
So much. Just one. I will take just 1 minute. Thank you so much for letting me speak. My one question to Nitinji is that how do we perceive the bliss state? How, in other question, those God realized saints, how do they express that state of bliss? Yesterday, Guru, this is getting rid
Let's
of
take this
the
question,
worries.
Tanmeji, tomorrow, because it's 10 o'clock. We have to transition to the next
So
session.
thank you just for the listening. I'm I'm patient. I'll be waiting for your answer.
Sure,
Thank you
sure.
so
You can put it in the feedback tracker, but let's continue on this discussion. I think if you can paste it in the feedback tracker, we'll take it up in class tomorrow. Thank you very much. All right, over to you, Sunil Bhai and Ajay.
Thank you, Nitin Bhai. Thank you, everyone, for another wonderful session and the fruits of Seva. Wonderful. So let's start this journey.